I personally think now more than ever, Hollywood has lost the plot, metaphorically and literally. Movies can now feel in this modern day to just be a way to throw away money. Let these movies that we discuss today be the shining light and a possible reminder to you and maybe people in Hollywood, because we know they're watching this video, that a big bloated budget is not going to make your movie good. Robert Eggers has now become one of my most beloved directors and the one that I am really most looking forward to when I see an upcoming release. The latest being Werewolf. The trailer looks phenomenal. And one reason for my eagerness around this director is how brilliantly he conveys atmosphere. And you need to look no further for a great example of this with The Lighthouse. This very well may be Willem Dafoe's best ever performance, and it was also the first time I took Robert Pattinson seriously. The movie can be seen in different interpretations, but very interesting watching along the behind the scenes footage of this film is just the intricacy and the research that went into seemingly a simple idea. The movie is very unsettling, with the foghorn persistent throughout and crazy imagery. This is a must-see for horror and thriller fans. Parasite is the first film that I seen from Bong Joon-ho, and generally the first time I actually heard about him. Even though his latest, Mickey 17, was a bit of a disappointment, Parasite is an incredible work of art. And something that is incredibly rare these days, at least for me, is an ending that I simply did not see coming. Thanks to this movie, I am now so much more open to foreign films. I would never sit down and watch one simply because I just couldn't be bothered to read along with subtitles. I'm not proud to say it, but that is true. Parasite has opened my eyes to many of my now beloved movies that we'll get into in a different video, but all thanks to this film. A movie that, in my opinion, was well ahead of its time. You can't look in any direction without seeing a movie that is about AI and robots. This seemed like so much less of an occurrence at this period of time. A movie that I have seen a few times now, and that can still capture my attention even knowing the ending. And I loved the slow, unnerving atmosphere, never sure of characters' true intentions. Almost feeling sorry for the robot Ava, and without a doubt, with some brownie points in and of itself, an amazing dance sequence. If you are like me, and I'm sure many others in this day and age, sick of the usual AI and the predictable stories and outcomes, Ex Machina, although getting on a bit, is still really holding its own. I have said many times on this channel, any moment that I get a chance to be honest, I am a Ryan Gosling fanboy. And this movie is the original reason as to why that is. He speaks practically no words, but the acting does all the talking. I wasn't quite sure how I felt on this film on the first viewing. I enjoyed it, but something just didn't quite click. So I turned it on the next day and I fell in love. An absolutely fantastic chase scene at the very start and pretty gnarly violence throughout. You can tell there's really something twisted behind this guy's eyes, and you get to see that later on in the movie, that something was bound to snap at some point. He made this scorpion jacket an iconic look at this point, a jacket that I really sought out to buy when I originally saw this film, and I would still love one. In the movie, I do hear people talking about sometimes, but I think there's still a lot of people out there that need to see this. A delightful coming of age film that really resonated with me, following the main character Duncan and his teenage years and struggles. An incredible cast of Steve Carell, Sam Rockwell, Toni Collette, and it was really interesting to see Steve Carell play this really knobhead, fair to say, stepdad. Much like seeing Tom Cruise in Collateral, it's just not a role that we really get to see him in, and I would definitely want to see more of this. I've never really been a fan of this style of movie, as it always is the same thing, but this is such an easy, relaxing and pleasant viewing experience. Even though the setting is rather modern, it's not set in any past times, I still get an inkling of nostalgia watching this. A quick shout that if you are enjoying this video, I really appreciate you stopping by and taking your time to watch along. But why not like the video and drop a subscribe so you can have yourself more videos just like this. This may not be for those of you who live around the world, but this is a beloved local movie shot in my home city of Newcastle, with a very simple story and relatable for many growing up in this football mad town. Although a very simple story, the laughs are plentiful, and if you wanted to get a really good idea and vibe around what it was like to grow up in Newcastle upon Tyne, this is a perfect movie to get an example of. And it's hard to believe for myself as well sometimes that Newcastle is a beautiful place, but this lovely little local film captures the greatness, but also the darkness of growing up in this time period in this city. When you think of Guy Ritchie, not so much lately, but what's the first things that come to your head? I would say it's incredibly witty dialogue, fast-paced action and snippy transitions. Guy Ritchie has actually made some incredible films, and many, including myself, have to say that Snatch is his best. I don't know how it can really be argued. If there's one thing that he is good at, is introducing these many diverse characters and their unique styles and characteristics. They each seem like from completely different worlds, but how he would tie them coming together after the same goal was really quite impressive. Brad Pitt gives a performance of a lifetime as Mickey the Pikey with a perfect inaudible accent, along with everyone else: Boris the Blade, Bullet-Toothed Tony, Turkish, and we really can't forget Tyrone. A movie in my top 5 of all time. Christian Bale is the only one that I could picture possibly in this role as Patrick Bateman. The director insists that the ending is not supposed to be open to interpretation, but a couple of things just happen that simply couldn't in reality. I think it's fair to say though that the director knows best on how they intended the film to be, but it's still fun to say what maybe is real and what maybe is not. For a pretty dark movie, it's incredibly funny and dark humour at its finest. Please don't let the so-called upcoming remake of this film be your first experience. It's hard to imagine that a named director like Quentin Tarantino would ever be on this list. Arguably, he is still an independent filmmaker. But after bursting on the scene with the also amazing Reservoir Dogs, he gave us this absolute gem of Pulp Fiction. For a director to get such a stacked cast on his second feature film is, I would say, unheard of. Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta, Bruce Willis, Uma Thurman. The list truly goes on and on. This could be simply because his first film done so well. It could also be because of some other reasons, but that may be for a different day. Nonetheless, Pulp Fiction to this day is revered by many fans that still claim this film is his best. I only seen this in the past 10 years or so, and I loved it ever since. It is one of those movies that you can just throw on in the background. The movie equivalent to comfort food. A great idea with all these school kids from completely different backgrounds all coming together in the dreaded detention. The movie has a really great message too, with how we all may have more in common than we might think, and an impactful ending with that phenomenal fist bump into Simple Minds. I found a little piece of myself, and as I'm sure many others did too, little bits of each of these characters. And I think we can all definitely agree that the tension sucks. These films are just some of my favourites, and hell, there's a lot that could be mentioned here that I've inevitably left out. Are any of these films your favourites? Would they be in your list? Or what have I missed that you feel needs to be mentioned? Make sure you do, as always, let me know down in the comments below.